Welcome to the 10th episode of the J&J podcast. My name is John Madigan.
And I'm Joe Vasallo.
Welcome, guys, to our 10th episode spectacular. Thank you, guys.
Can hear, John is still sick. Still can't get through a sentence without coughing.
Yes,
so
I'll get to that. Welcome, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening to us. Our 10th episode spectacular. We just broke 400 downloads. And we have listeners all over the place. And we could not be more grateful for the fact that we just gain more and more listeners each and every week. We truly enjoy doing this. Thank you guys so much, sincerely. Joe, is there anything you want to say to the fans about 10 episodes and over 400 downloads?
Yeah, we love you guys. You're the reason why we do this, right? Honestly, if it wasn't for you guys, we would probably just be talking on the phone about nonsense. And so, we want you to know that we love you. We're praying for you. Email us. We want to hear from you.
So yeah, guys, thank you guys so much. I want to thank Chad Carmen, who was on our show 2 weeks ago as our special guest. And I also want to thank James Astuto for filling in for me last week. James, you did an amazing job as our guest host, and we can't wait to have you on again as a guest. And Chad, you too, we can't wait to have you on again. Hope you're doing well, man. It truly means a lot to us. Clearly, I'm sick still. Unfortunately, I'm going to try and let Joe do most of the talking on this podcast because when I talk, I cough. My God. I don't know if the name of this episode should be the 10th episode spectacular or when I talk, I cough. So
we'll figure that out at the end like we always do.
But yeah. So yeah, I want to talk about I was sick. So what happened was we recorded our episode with Chad Tuesday night. Our episodes go up on Wednesday. We usually record Friday nights, but sometimes just for various reasons we can't do that. And so we recorded Tuesday night for an upload on Wednesday, which we never did. And I was starting to get sick that night because I remember coughing and whatnot. And so that was a problem. And then Wednesday morning I woke up sick as a dog. And I skipped class, and I never skipped class. So that was a problem, and I just kind of stayed in bed all day. And then Thursday, I woke up with a fever. I had chills. I was so cold. It was 70 degrees outside, and I was freezing. And I also had to go into school because I had 2 exams. And in college, you can't make up exams. So I went in, I'm sweating all over my test. It's 70 degrees outside. I'm wearing a winter coat. It's ridiculous. And then Friday I took off from work just so I can rest. I am back to school and I am back to work, but everything is doing well. Joe, what did you have for lunch?
I actually didn't eat lunch yet today. It's a bit early. Lunch is actually at 1 o'clock on Sundays, and so I'm doing this with you at this time at 1 o'clock. I might or might not go for a slice of pizza. It depends if I get super hungry or if I want to wait until dinner.
Well, what did you have for lunch yesterday?
I had some sort of sandwich. I don't really remember what it was.
You don't remember what you had on the sandwich?
Oh, actually, I didn't eat lunch either yesterday. We had a conference.
Why? We had a conference?
Yeah. We had a conference yesterday, and I had the option between taking an hour off for lunch or sleeping. And when you're a college student, or if you have never been a college student, you choose sleep over food every time.
Yeah, because food can always come later, but the opportunity to sleep is not always there.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I understand. I understand fully.
But the day before that, I had fish.
You had fish? A fish sandwich?
No, just fish.
What type of fish?
I think it was flounder.
Was it good?
It was alright. It was pretty good. They put some sort of spice in it. It was pretty good.
Fair enough. I also did not have lunch today because it is a bit early, but I do feel the need to just kind of talk about the segment because that is our original segment. For yesterday, though, we had a very nice brunch in celebration of my father's birthday. We had bacon and hash browns and bagels and roast beef and turkey, and like it was just fantastic. The food was just amazing, and of course, we had a birthday cake. So that's all well and good. But I'd like to talk about something that happened to me. Joe, I'm sure. Do you have neighbor problems? You have a dorm. I'm sure you have plenty of neighbors.
Oh, you
Do
have
you
no idea.
you have
My
neighbor?
neighbor is
What's
right
up?
across the street, right across the hall from me, man. I love them to death, but they drive me up a wall sometimes.
What do your neighbors across the street do to you?
Um, well, mostly. So what you have to understand, John, is in a Bible college, we don't always agree on exactly the same thing. So a big part of what happens, a big part of the annoyance, is we debate a lot.
Well, when you go to a school like Elam, is there really room for debate?
Oh yeah, all the time. Just because we're all Christians, we agree on the fundamentals of our faith, which is the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus. But what we don't always agree on is how stuff happens or what the Greek and the Hebrew says. So there's a lot of arguments that can actually go on between students.
Really? And how long do those arguments last for?
Oh, it depends. Sometimes 5 to 10 minutes, and sometimes the longest debate I've ever had here lasted about 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah, I remember there was a time where me and you were leaving the house to go get a sandwich. Me and you were leaving your house, your
Yeah, it
father's
was just a
house.
Jehovah's Witness story.
Yes.
Yes, I remember that. I do remember that.
Yeah, so we left your house and right as we were leaving, a Jehovah Witness was walking up to your house. And I was like, oh no. And you debated with this Jehovah Witness for what had to be 2 hours at least.
And if I recall, I won. He was like, I can't answer all your questions.
Yes, but he did give you his email, and then he asked for both of our emails, and I gave him a fake email because F him. Now, yeah, but I was starving, and we were supposed to go down and get a sandwich, and you're debating with this guy, which I thought was going to be for like 15 minutes. I'm like, all right, this guy wants to get to as many houses as he possibly can. He can't possibly talk to Joe for more than 15 minutes. You guys debated for at least 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was dumbfounded. My
Dude,
God.
One time in Rochester, after I moved to Rochester, Jehovah's Witnesses knocked on our door, and we actually talked. I talked with them for over 3 hours, and like it was weird. It was a family of Jehovah's Witnesses, so the wife came up and knocked on my door, and I talked with her. She was like, "Let me get my husband," and then I talked with him to the point where he was like, "I can't answer your questions. I'm going." And you know what? Oddly enough, I've never gotten a knock on my door from Jehovah's Witnesses ever again.
Well, you're probably blacklisted. Like, all right, this kid knows too much. He's on to us.
Well, listen, I don't want you to be offended if you're listening to this and you're a Jehovah's Witness.
No, okay? No, be offended if you're listening to this. In fact, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, unsubscribe to the podcast. We don't want your listen.
I want your listen. But
he wants to convert you.
I've looked into the Jehovah's Witness belief system. I've had a lot of discussions, and the whole basis of Jehovah's Witness, is the religion. It's really a misinformation of what the Bible actually says.
Yeah. But what was I going to say with that? We got into food, and then somehow that turned into Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, well, I don't think anyone ever subscribed to our podcast for continuity purposes.
There you go. But now I want to talk about my neighbor. We were talking about neighbors. So my neighbor, I don't even talk to her. We've been neighbors for like 10 years. I don't even talk to her. She is the worst, though. Friday morning, I go outside my house, and I walk to my car. And on my car, on the driver's side window, there was a note written in Sharpie. And the note read, "You will be towed if you can't clear my driveway," with the words, "You will towed, can't clear my driveway," all underlined. I don't know why, but she did. And here's the thing. I took a picture. Not only was I not blocking her driveway, she got her minivan in the driveway. So I don't know how I could possibly be driving, how I could possibly block this woman's driveway if she got her minivan in there. But so my original plan was to take that note and then put it on her door and then park in her driveway just to kind of prove a point. Because that's just an awful thing. You don't do that to somebody, right, Joe?
Well, John, it's a Staten Island thing. I've noticed that doesn't actually happen anywhere else.
I know. I mean, I've never. I didn't block her driveway. Well, I wouldn't do that.
That's fair.
I wouldn't do that. And then obviously I didn't because she got her minivan in the driveway. So how did I block it? You have to think about this thing.
Right. Logically, it doesn't make sense. Now, you should talk to her, John. Have you talked to her?
I have not talked to her because she's like 70.
Well, John, you know what? When you hit a certain age, you should be shown respect.
Dead.
No.
When you hit a certain age, you should be dead.
How old are you, Nana?
72.
Silence, lady.
72.
What?
72.
So shut your mouth. So shut your mouth, John.
I said a certain age. I didn't say which age.
But yeah, no, that was messed up. Good for her though. She has good handwriting at that age.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Anyway. But Joe, how are you?
I'm great. I'm really well. There's not much to report on in my life per se. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to talk about. Like about me personally. Like I don't have anything big coming. I have Easter break coming up. I'm super excited for that. I really need that.
Yes. Now, Joe, are you coming down? Because in the previous podcast, you promised that you would come down and do a Monopoly episode with James Estudo and I.
Yeah, I was under the impression that I was coming down, and then I kind of got the rug pulled out from under me.
So what is going on?
So if you want to come up for Easter break, I'm sure my family would love to have you. Bring your computer. We can do a podcast, right? I'm being serious, John. Like you're always welcome at my house, but I can't come down.
So you won't even be in Jersey, is what you're saying.
I won't even be in Jersey. I thought I was going to be in Jersey and we could go hang out and stuff, but that it actually is the opposite. My aunt is coming up.
Oh man.
Not the week of Easter, but the week after Easter.
So when can you come down and see me?
I don't know yet. It all depends because I have to get a job over the summer. I need this.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
I need to get a job over the summer. Now, if I get a job on Staten Island, because I'm not picky, right? Like I can go if I get a job on Staten Island, John, me and you can hang out. I mean, all the time. Like that's fine with me. But if I get a job up here, then you're gonna have to come visit me.
We gotta find a job that's hiring. Oh,
right,
man.
Right. Like I'm not picky. I don't really care. I have a lot of different talents that I can utilize. Can speak in different languages.
What jobs would you be open to on Staten Island? Like, where would you apply to on Staten Island? Where do you think you could work here?
I'm really good at cleaning bathrooms.
Really? Really?
Yeah, I have. Yes, I'm a certified Christian counselor.
Now, is there any chance your uncle will hire you at the diner?
No, I tried that route. That's not going to happen.
Well, that was because you had they were doing the expansion, so they couldn't do it right now. But what if they do it this summer?
Yeah, I found out that now he's fully staffed.
But he always got time for his nephew, right? That he kind of forgot sometimes while here, but still.
I mean, John, it's not looking like it'll work out.
Oh,
for that, I do have a few other avenues that I'm exploring.
In Staten Island?
Some on Staten Island, some in Rochester, but I definitely need a job over the summer.
Because you need to make money so you can blow it with me, right?
No, I need to make money because they're raising tuition.
How much more are they raising tuition?
I don't know exactly how much it is, but it's probably enough that I need to go grab a job and save up over the summer.
So, can we start a GoFundMe campaign for you?
Absolutely not,
Why not?
because I don't want. I want to get a job. I want to work
Why? When people can just donate money to you.
because I've sat on my butt for the last 20 summers of my life, and I don't want to do that anymore. I want to actually get a job so I can then get a license, so then I can get a wife, and then I can have babies. Lots and
Why?
lots.
Why do you need a job to have a license? Why do you need a license to have a job?
A lot of jobs won't hire you if you don't have a license, which is part of the
Really?
problem. Yeah, it's part of the problem. Like that's probably been my biggest obstacle is that every time on the application, do you have a license? And I'm like, no, I don't. That's been a really big problem.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
At least in Rochester. Like I've only applied to 2 places downstate, so I don't know, right? Like I'm waiting for that to break through to hear more on that.
Yeah. But we can all right, we'll have to find you a job on Staten Island so I can see you for the whole summer. Because buddy, I miss you.
Well, and I don't want to be that guy, John, but even if I did get a job downstate, I don't think we would be spending the whole summer together. With other stuff to do as well.
Like who?
There's no who in that. I'm not Jewing anybody.
Like who? I'm just saying.
No. I was hoping to go visit my girlfriend some point this summer.
In Maryland?
Yes.
You're gonna go to Maryland.
I didn't say I was going to Maryland. I said that I was hoping to go to Maryland.
How would you afford the ticket to go to Maryland?
That's why I want a license.
Oh god, you're gonna drive? Now, how long is the trip?
I looked it up. It's only 5 hours. It's actually a lot less than it takes to visit you.
But I actually love you.
Ladies and gentlemen, John's mom, you heard it straight from him.
No, please, my mom doesn't listen to this podcast.
Your Nana does, though. I know that for a fact.
No, she doesn't. She stopped listening after the second episode, or the third, whatever episode I drank a beer on. Whatever episode I drank a beer on, she stopped listening after
that. Who can blame her?
I know, right? But I'm turning 21. I'll be able to drink as much as I want.
Oh, John. You do know, John, that's fine with me. Like, if I come over the summer, like down over the summer, and you're like, "Hey, Joe, want to go out to a bar?" I can't drink. I've signed a contract.
But you're graduating, so you're good.
No, I'm not. I graduate, and then I'm coming back for a year to Elam to finish up the program.
But then all those contracts are gone with because you've already graduated.
No, the contract is still intact.
When does the contract go under?
It goes under my 3rd year.
But
like after my 3rd year.
But what if you're not with the school during the 3rd year?
Well, then it would go under. But as long as I'm registered as a student, the contract stays intact.
Did you register for classes already?
I did.
Okay, can we talk about Elam's so-called practices?
No, we can't.
Why?
Because, John, you have to understand, if you go to Elam, you choose to go to Elam.
Okay,
right? That's the point.
The way they do things are a little not right.
That's not true.
I do kind of feel like they take away creativity.
No. Far from it. They cultivate creativity.
I feel like they try. I feel like they try and they try and like mold you into something different.
No, right? Like essentially, I came here knowing what I was getting, and I because I'm a Christian, I like the rules here, right? I went to a secular college before this, right? There was parties in the dorms and sex and, like all this other stuff, right? Drinking and drunkardness. And I don't want that, right? So I came to a place where the rules restrict that. So I won't be around people who do that stuff, right?
But you're going to see me.
What?
You're going to see me.
John, don't lie. You know you've never had sex.
I've never had sex. That is true. But I do drink from time to time.
From time to time, and that's okay. I don't think drinking is a sin, right? But personally, I don't like it. Like, even if I wasn't under the contract, I probably wouldn't drink anyway, because it tastes like pee. Cold piss. That's exactly what beer tastes like.
Coors Light tastes great.
Uh-huh, sure it does, Ron.
Ugh.
right? Plus, it's not healthy for your liver. Like, there's a whole bunch of reasons why.
Ugh. I just kind of feel like they should, part of being an adult is getting you to make those decisions, not being forced to by some contract. This podcast, though, I want to talk about gaming, and I want to talk about movies. Now, Joe, are you a fan of the original Ghostbusters series?
I wouldn't call myself a fan. I saw the first one. I thought it was okay. It wasn't. It wouldn't be my first choice.
I have to admit, I've never seen the Ghostbusters films. I would like to at least watch the original simply because it is a classic, you know. Regardless of what you think of it, it is a classic movie. And so I do think it's something I at least have to watch once just to experience it, you know? But this new piece of trash they're putting out today, oh my god. The new Ghostbusters film starring Melissa McCarthy is beyond horrible, just based off the trailer. I mean, an all-female Ghostbuster, it's horrible. You know, and Joe, what did you think about it? You saw the trailer. What did you think?
I did see it. I feel like the actors who are in it are stereotypical, like they're stereotyping themselves. Like if you ever watch a movie with them in it, they play the same role essentially.
Absolutely.
Right? I think that's one part of the problem. And realize I'm not against female Ghostbusters, but I am against all female Ghostbusters. Right? Like have a little bit of equality in there, you know what I mean? And just don't be like, oh, like, well, it's the 21st century and the women's rights movement is over, so we're just going to womanify, you know, classical movies, right? And it really does bother me a little bit because it's like, well, where's the? I want to see actual movie elements, right? Like, right. What draws me to a movie isn't who's acting or what gender the person is acting. It's the kind of acting, it's the plot, it's the storyline. It's like, what is it funny? Is it action packed? Is it suspenseful? Like these are the things that I look for in a movie, and I feel like in our culture today, we take it and we look at it and it's like, oh, a strong woman lead, well, that must be a sign of like feminism and like women's rights, when it's really not. It's just stupid. Right,
I agree completely. And by the way, you can see I'm still sick. I can't get through a sentence without coughing.
You said that before, John.
It's ridiculous. But, you know, I care very much about movies. And, you know, I was saying this a few weeks ago about TV shows like Fresh Off the Boat and Blackish. You know, there are shows to please a race. They're there to please Black people and to please Asians. And, you know, and the rating of the show doesn't exactly matter. It's just they wanted a show out there that starred Black people and a show out there that starred Asian people because it's not common. But, you know, because the only other Black show, you know, that starred all the Black people was The Cosby Show, and we all know what happened there. So, you know, they wanted a show that kind of represented, you know, a certain group of people. And this is what happened with Ghostbusters. You know, there is a very strong feminist movement out there, and they riled against, and they wanted an all-female movie. And so I don't know why Ghostbusters got into the mix, but that's really what it was. The mentality behind this was to, you know, fulfill that feminist movement that's been going on. It's like how they made Thor a woman in the comic books now. Thor's a girl.
I didn't know that. I did you hear about Green Lantern?
No. What happened to Green Lantern?
I think it's Green Lantern. It's either Green Lantern or Flash. I forgot which one, but they turned one of the major DC characters gay.
What was the movement though behind it? Like, we know about the feminist movement,
like the gay rights movement.
Is there really a gay rights movement anymore, though? Because I kind of feel like gays now have rights. They, you know, like
John, there's still gay. Basically, if you're anything in the society, you feel discriminated against, right? Like, let's boil it down.
Let's boil it down. If you're not a white straight male, you feel you're discriminated against.
Well, no. You know what? I'm a white straight male, and I feel discriminated against every time I'm around a feminist or a person who's right.
Oh
Like,
well, now, yeah.
yeah. And so, like, basically, what our society needs to do is pick up its big boy pants, okay, and stop being little sissies, okay. We get it, okay. It's over, okay. We don't live in the 1800s. No one's a slave anymore. Women can vote. They can drive, right? And like, despite my thoughts about gay marriage, which I don't agree with, gay people can get married. Like pick up your pants, like, and put your panties on, and you're good, right? And it's just ridiculousness to say that there's still like that, like, oh my gosh, we need to, rally in this way. No, we don't. Okay, grow up.
And but I just wanted to throw in there about the panties. If you just want to take them off instead.
No, John, we're gonna cut that out. Put your big boy panties on is what I was trying to say.
I'm just saying, if you wanted to take them off, that's totally cool
John,
too.
No, we're bleeping that out.
Oh God. But so yeah, I wanted to just kind of just touch upon that. Dear Jesus, though, I mean that trailer, it just wasn't funny. It wasn't entertaining.
It wasn't anything. It was like I was sitting there and I was like, okay, when like the original Ghostbusters, even though it's not my favorite movie, it is funny.
Okay, fair. I haven't seen it, so I can't comment.
Right. So like I can watch it and I can be like, okay, this is funny. It's not the most funny movie I've ever seen, but it's funny. Right. And so like looking at that trailer, all I saw was like a waste of $12.
Right.
That's what I saw. Like, I'm not going to go see it.
And you still can't satisfy everyone because, first of all, you have the Ghostbusters fans that are pissed off because they feel like this is going to ruin the franchise. And frankly, it is going to put a dent in it, honestly. Second of all, you have the black people are pissed off about the film because of that one black character in the movie. They're saying it's very stereotypical. She works as an MTA subway employee. She talks like this, and it's very ghetto, and they feel like she's just playing a black stereotype. So now black people are all pissed off about it. I mean, honestly, we need to trail away from all these different crazy movements and just stick to what works and what is good, because this is not working.
Right? Like unity is important. Do you understand what I mean by that?
What do you mean by unity? Like how we all stick together? I mean,
yeah, like the second that I become a black person or a white person, then there's a disunity there, right? There's a brokenness there, right? But the second where we come together, right, and it's like we're just human beings, right? Like our blood drips red no matter who we are.
Yeah.
Right, and so then that just shows right there, like that's what we need, right? One thing I love about being a Christian is that like you can go into any circle of Christianity. And if they're true Christians, it doesn't matter what gender you are or what what race you are. Like, we're essentially one big happy family.
Right. And I kind of feel like that's the way America has to be. Because right now, everyone just kind of focuses on whatever they are. That's what everyone has to oblige to.
Right. And the problem with that is it's so dividing that we're really not a United States anymore.
It really is. It's too much. And when I saw this trailer, I just kind of felt like this is just adding to the mess. This is not going to make anyone happy. This is adding to the mess.
Right. Right. And you know what? I've got to just give a shout out to a movie that I saw. And this movie had a black and female lead with a white villain. And it just worked really well. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like everything was kind of mixed in there, but the acting was good, the directing was good, and it was just a good film. And that was Star Wars 7. Okay, if you want a non-racist film that'll make everybody happy, it's Star Wars 7.
Star Wars 7. Okay, all right, fair enough. I haven't seen any Star Wars films, but I know I should. I know it's fantastic. I haven't seen them.
They're fantastic. The second beat stuck, and the seventh one was pretty decent.
The other movie I wanted to talk about though today, and Joe, I don't know if you saw the trailer for this, but have you heard of a movie called Sausage Party?
No, I haven't. I don't know if I want to.
Oh, you want to?
I don't think so. Just based off
Well, too bad. You're gonna. So, Sausage Party is the first and only rated R animated film.
Oh wait, is that where the hot dogs talk?
Seth Rogen.
Where the animated food is talking and they get taken home and they're all excited and then they start getting eaten and they don't realize.
Yes.
Okay, I did see that. I did see the trailer for that.
Okay, so you saw the trailer. All right, what did you think?
I thought it was stupid. I don't like grown up animated films. I'm just not a big. I found that I just don't like them very much. Like they don't appeal to me.
Well, Joe, to be honest, this is the first. There's never been.
No. There are plenty of cartoons that are like not necessarily rated R, but like meant for grown up audience. Like I know like there's Halo movies that are cartoon based or
Matrix. Those are lame. I think this is.
Or South Park even. Are you sure South Park wasn't rated R? Because I'm pretty sure South Park was rated R. The movie.
I wonder because they're advertising this. They said it's the first CGI animated, so maybe that's how they're getting away with it.
Like my general experience is that I just really don't. It doesn't appeal to me very very much.
Yeah. South Park movie. Yeah, South Park movie was rated R, but it wasn't CGI animated. So they're saying it's the very first CGI animated, kind of like a Pixar animation, and it's the very first CGI animated movie. Because even South Park, just from the trailer, looks like it's for adults. But a child who just kind of like sees the movie poster for Sausage Party is going to think, oh, I want to see that. That looks, And I wonder how many parents are going to take their child to go see this movie without even watching the trailer and just kind of seeing animation and saying, oh, that'll be good.
I probably the same amount that gets to see Deadpool because it was Marvel.
Exactly.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, if you have little kids and you're taking them to go see a movie, please research the movie beforehand. We have ratings for a reason. Don't let your kids play Grand Theft Auto. Just don't do it.
Yeah, please. Don't do it. But this movie, in my opinion, looks hysterical. Now, I am a huge Seth Rogen fan, so maybe that's why I feel that way. But I think the movie looked really good. I kind of like how they split the trailer into two. The first half looked like a legit children's movie, and then the second half kind of took over. Like okay.
Well, I would question, right, what kind of message we're sending to our adults here. Like, are we saying that it's okay to treat adults like kids? Because we do have a lot of man children in our society.
I don't think that's the message that's going around. I just think, due to the success of The Simpsons and Family Guy and South Park, this is all just kind of following in the trend. Adults like cartoons too. I mean, that's just really.
I can't imagine myself. Even now, I really don't watch many cartoons.
Mm-hmm. I don't watch anything on Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network, but I'll watch Family Guy and The Simpsons any day of the week.
I can only really imagine myself watching like cartoons as an adult, like if I have a little kid, right? You know what I mean? Like they're like, oh, like SpongeBob, right? Maybe not even SpongeBob. SpongeBob's grown up now too. It's become a little too adultish for children.
You both know that SpongeBob is going to be there though when we have children.
Oh, most definitely. Pokemon is definitely going to be there. They're just not letting that dog die.
Oh my god, there are so many series they just have to let die already. It's had its course. It's done. It had its run, and it's like,
yeah, absolutely.
But I was really interested in Sausage Party, and I hope people go see it because I think it's really funny. If you haven't seen it, definitely go on YouTube, type in Sausage Party, watch the trailer. Oh, I've been going to comic book shops. I've been going to a comic book shop buying comic books. Now, Joe, are you a comic book collector?
No, I have a few comic books here or there, but I can't say for sure that there's any series per se that I like. Oh, I gotta find the newest issue of this or that.
Now, do they have a comic book shop up in Rochester?
Yeah, I've seen them. What I like about the comic book shop up here is it's not just comic books. It's comic books and it's old video games that you can't find anymore.
Oh wow! What's it called?
So, I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but like I know that when I go there, chances are I go there more for the video, like the older video games that I wouldn't be able to find in regular stores, rather than.
Now, Joe, have you heard about Lady Gaga comic books?
No, I haven't, and I really don't want to. I don't like Lady Gaga. You do. That's your bit, not mine.
I see. But speaking about retro video games, Joe, have you heard about the Coleco Chameleon?
The what?
The Coleco Chameleon.
I have not.
Okay, so there was a big topic in the gaming community about this new game system called the Coleco Chameleon. The Coleco Chameleon was a system that would be the first system in about 18 years that would accept cartridges, and it wouldn't be able to connect to the internet. The whole game would have to be on the cartridge. Any DLC, the no updates, nothing. That way, game companies would focus a lot of time, like they did on the old days, and make a perfect game that you can buy on a cartridge at GameStop, and that's what that's how you'd play games. Now, what's really it is interesting, and gamers freaked out about it, but it did have a bad history because at first. There was a console called the Retro VGS, which was created by the exact same people who created the Coleco Chameleon. The Retro VGS never came out. It was announced, they made a Kickstarter campaign, and then the Kickstarter campaign, though, was for like $20 million. Like, they weren't getting it. There was no shot. And with Kickstarter, you don't get your money unless you fulfill the amount that you request. So if you request $20 million, if you get $19,999,000, you don't get the money. Get what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that money comes out, and it makes like $18,000 on the Kickstarter. It doesn't happen. And they also find out that there was never a prototype made. They had no clue what they were doing. They had no prototype made. And then so they went out to Coleco and they rented out the Coleco name. And Coleco said, okay, you can put our name on your product. And so they came up with this new thing called the Coleco Chameleon, which would be the exact same thing. They said it would be a lot cheaper. It would be the exact same thing though, where game companies can make new games on a cartridge. And they found out that at the New York Toy Show, where they were displaying this for the first time, it wasn't real because they said you're gonna be able to play old games on it too. So you got there, and then on the screen was a Super Nintendo. They were only playing Super Nintendo games, and what they found out was they took an Atari Jaguar shell, like the case of the Atari Jaguar, and then inside they put the guts of a Super Nintendo, and then collapsed it together, just so they had something to show at the toy show. Which where at the toy show they have like investors and whatnot come up and see your product and whatnot, and they had Super Nintendo controllers too and everything. So basically, they were just playing a Super Nintendo that had with a different shell on it because they had nothing. They had nothing made up for this Coleco Chameleon. And when the videos got leaked on YouTube and everything, people were freaking out because gamers and whatnot. They So they didn't admit to it, but they took down the Kickstarter for the new Coleco Chameleon, and they said, "Oh, we're gonna hold off on it because we had such a good time at the toy fair. We really want to perfect our product." And then they posted pictures of a new prototype per se, and it was like a clear shell, like a clear Atari Jaguar shell, so you can see inside, and then inside you kind of saw like a motherboard type of thing, something that looked kind of official, and then there was a part where you can put a cartridge in. Mm-hmm. Well, because it was see-through, you can actually see the guts and whatnot, and some people who are really good at finding out they know the insides and outs of every product out there, found out what they put in there was not original hardware. And it was actually from a DVR box, a TV DVR box, that they just opened it up, put that motherboard in there, and then took a picture and posted it. There was nothing that was working. It was just literally it was called a capture card from inside a DVR that they just put inside this clear shell and took a picture of it. And they found the exact model version of it, and it lined up perfectly. This was not a game console. And I kind of felt like they were trying to take everyone's money. And so then Coleco got in and said, we're going to examine the prototype for ourselves. And then like a week later, they said, this is fake. We're taking off our name. And then they haven't been heard from since. And I actually invited Mike Kennedy, the CEO, to be on our podcast, so he can give his side of the story about this. But he never wrote back to me. So
I wonder why.
I know, right? He had his chance. I thought it might be good for him. I told him he can come on our show. He can talk about the in and outs, what happened, what problems happened, if the people online got the information wrong, what's going to happen. I said he can talk about whatever he wants just to clear his name, and he didn't take the opportunity, unfortunately. So, Mike Kennedy, if you're listening to this, you're more than happy to come on our show at any time to kind of clear your name. But right now, this is looking sketchy as hell. But it's just good that this console looks like this console's not going to come out because they took down the face.
Like, I would really like to see a cartridge-based system again.
Right, but they don't have the system for it. They're just faking it.
Right. No, I'm saying though, in general, I would really like to see it.
Right. I mean, Joe, what kind of cartridge-based systems did you have growing up?
Oh wow, the Nintendo 64, the Atari.
You had an Atari with a cartridge?
I think it was an Atari. I don't know. My grandma still has it somewhere in her house.
Mm-hmm.
I know the Nintendo 64, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy SP.
Yeah.
I mean, what else do we have? Oh man, GameCube was disc.
Yeah.
What else? I feel like I had a lot more cartridge-based systems.
Did you have a Super Nintendo?
Possibly.
That's what I had. I had Super Nintendo, and I had Nintendo 64. That was the only thing for cartridge-based systems. And then I had a GameCube. I had PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. My brother has the PlayStation 4. We had an Xbox 360, Xbox One I have. And we had a Nintendo Wii, and I have a Nintendo Wii U in my room. So... And now it looks like the Nintendo NX is coming out. Did you hear about that?
No, and I really don't want to. Nintendo needs to let some stuff die.
But I mean, there's nothing really going on about Xbox, but Microsoft is making a really interesting thing. Or at least it's being talked about. It's not official yet. This is all just a rumor. But it is a little weird. They're saying that when the 8th gen consoles, the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 came out, they were underpowered from launch date. And they're talking about making the PlayStation 4.5. And what the PlayStation 4.5 would, basically it would have better power, and it could output at 4K resolution, which is kind of becoming the new standard. But the problem would be that some games would not be available to the people who purchased the original PlayStation 4, and that you would kind of be separating the market between people who got the new and improved PlayStation 4 and then the old ones. And Joe, I just want to know your opinion on this.
I mean, I feel like maybe it's a little too soon. And what I mean by that is, like, let the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, cool down a little bit, give it a couple of years, and then come out with the next generation of systems. Maybe while that's happening, perfect the PlayStation 4.5, and all of that stuff, and just like really like.
But should the 4.5 come out though and kind of divide the market? Because then, like, people imagine you bought an original PlayStation 4. The 4.5 wasn't out yet, and now all these new games are coming out, but because your PlayStation doesn't have the extra horsepower, you can't play it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying let it cool down first. You know what I mean?
So, I mean, do you think it should be 4.5, or do you think they should just wait till the next generation of console and the PlayStation 5?
I think that they should wait and make it the PlayStation 5, work on it a little bit, make it work. I think a big problem with the gaming company is that they're in such a rush to get stuff out that a lot of their stuff has bugs on it right away.
The games, especially. I mean, I don't think the consoles too much, only because the last generation of consoles lasted about 8 years, which is pretty good, I would say. Because the seventh gen consoles were way above their time.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
you have games today that are still coming out on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, these new consoles really didn't change too much, and I'm really interested to see what the next generation of consoles are going to do. And I mean, and the big rumor has been that the next generation of consoles won't have a disc tray.
That's fair. I can picture that.
I mean, how do you feel about that, though? I mean, Joe, I know you don't really have consoles. I mean, but when you come down, you do play a lot. I mean, you're destroying the idea of a game store.
Yeah, that's true too. You are destroying the idea of a game store.
Retailers will go out of business.
I really like the idea of discs for several reasons, right? But it could also just be because we grew up in that era where discs were big, right? But like, our parents grew up in eras where cartridges were big, right?
Yeah.
And like our children will grow up in an era where discs and cartridges won't be big. In fact, cartridges will practically be extinct by then. Right? And so
I think it's safe to say that cartridges are oh my god, guys, I'm so sorry. I think we're already at a time where cartridges are extinct. I mean, there's no current console out there that does cartridges.
That's fair. And so, like, I think it just has to do with perspective. Now, I heard about a really cool game, a unique idea that I wanted to run by you and hear your thoughts about, and not necessarily in the fandom of the game, because I know you don't like Pokemon, but the idea of what the game is doing.
Is this Moon and Sun?
No, it's not Moon or Sun.
Okay.
So you know what Pokemon is, though, right?
Yes, of course. I used to play Pokemon.
Okay. Know how they had different regions of the world in Pokemon?
Sure, yeah.
A game is being released where you download it on your phone and you scan the area around you. So if you're in a grassy area, there'll be grass Pokemon that are unique to your part of the world. But if you want Pokemon from a different part of the world, you have to go to that part of the world and capture the Pokemon, and you can battle and trade with other trainers.
Wow. Oh, that is interesting. Is that something you're gonna get?
It's free, right? And so, like, if I have some spare time, I'm not really huge into like you have to understand something. I'm taking 7 classes, and I have two volunteer things that I do, and like a whole bunch of different stuff.
Mandatory volunteer.
No, I have one mandatory volunteer thing, and then I have 2 volunteer things that I do, and so it's really it's a lot. It's like a lot of stuff, stuff. So like getting into a game of that scope, I don't really think that I could do.
All right, but that is interesting.
I might just get it locally and like play around with play with people or whatever here and there.
Mm-hmm. Now maybe we should get into our dumb headlines. Joe, do you have a dumb headline for me?
I do. I'm a little hesitant to talk about it. I saw this and I was just like, I don't know what to even think about this. And so while this is just me and you, before this gets aired, let me just ask you if I talk about this and then pray about it, can we cut it if I don't like it?
What do you mean?
It's one of those things where it's like, what is the world coming to type thing.
Just talk about it.
Right. So like there's this pastor, I don't know his name, but he was a pastor in Africa.
Okay.
And basically he said that if anybody wants to get saved, they have to drink holy milk from his genitals.
Oh.
And
well
and he convinced hundreds of women to drink this milk.
This guy's not bad.
right? And it's really not. It's not a joking matter. It's a really bad misrepresentation of Christianity, right?
I mean, I think it's pretty interesting. I mean, I think that's pretty funny. I mean, it's sick, it's wrong, but
I
I
mean, and
mean,
you got a lot of women. Hold on, let me look this up, right? Because you got a lot of women to do this.
I mean, how many?
Well, um that's what I'm looking up right now. Um, let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. It was Brazilian. It was a Brazilian.
And this Brazilian tricked a lot of people into sucking his dick.
A lot of women.
A lot of women to suck his dick. Joe,
Um,
is there something you wanted to add on to this?
just that I want to apologize for all of the Christians, quote unquote, that misrepresent what Jesus was really about.
All
Like,
right.
and whether that's the holy milk thing, or whether that is priests that molest children, no matter what it is, right? I want to apologize, right, for people who genuinely misrepresent what Jesus was all about, because it really does makes Christianity look bad, and it pushes people away from Jesus, and that's the farthest thing from what Jesus is all about.
Fair enough. I want to talk about a little bit of local news. Uh, on your mark, get set, have sex with your teacher. Uh, at Moore Catholic High School in Staten Island, New York, a 24-year-old teacher was having sex with the students, and she had sex with a lot of students, but there was one in particular she liked the most. And they were banging for months, and the school found out about it, and then they tried to cover it up because, frankly, where else can you have sex with a teacher and not get in trouble for it other than a Catholic school? Now, I couldn't believe what were you gonna
And
say?
like, I feel like this goes right along with what we're saying about people misrepresenting Christianity, right? Like this is supposed to be a Catholic high school, right? And then this sort of thing goes on.
Right. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's so wrong. But I mean, but if you see the picture of the woman, you don't feel bad for the kid at all. You don't feel bad. I don't.
Well, what you have to understand, though, John, and you listened to the podcast, right, last week with James.
Yes, I did.
I touched on this a little bit with with James in terms of the psychological scarring that having sex with somebody does, and when that is not cultivated within a marriage, within a permanent mate, right? So that,
Sure.
and especially for a stupid 17-year-old kid, right? Like when we were 17, we didn't know anything. Heck,
Right.
I'm 21, I still don't know anything, right?
Right.
And so, like, the amount of psychological scarring that's going to happen to this kid is just incredibly insane.
Sure. I mean, but it also depends on what type of person you are too. If you're a person who can just have sex with someone and not care about them at the end of the day, I mean, I don't know if it's really going to do anything to you. Someone who's more caring, like me, you, or James, obviously, if something that were to happen, we'd be more caring about it, and we wouldn't just be able to roll it off our shoulders, like, yeah, that happened.
Well, and in researching abstinence and why it's a good thing, what I found out is the more that people have sex and just have sex, the less that they care. It damages that emotion part of the brain.
Right. But yeah, no, it's interesting, and I mean, but you can't feel bad for the kid though when you see the picture of the teacher. I mean, frankly, I don't blame him at all. I understand why he consented. I really do.
Well, and he's a stupid kid, right? That's why he consented.
Oh yeah, no, he's a moron. It's got to be. But I mean, he was like, "Yeah, we had sex on the counter and in the office and on the desk." It's oh my god, it was so funny. But I was like, "Ma, Dad, why didn't you send me to More Catholic High School?" So,
Oh, John.
I do believe, though, it is time that we get to our recommendations for the week. Joe, what do you recommend for our listeners to go out and do, see?
You go first, John, and then I have to think about it.
Why?
I just need to think about it.
I would like to recommend a place. There is a great place in Staten Island called Comic Book Jones. The address is 2220 Forest Avenue, Staten Island, New York, 10303. And they are just a great group of people. It is a legit comic book shop in Staten Island. They are nice people who care so much about the community of Staten Island. They hold these awesome events whenever a superhero movie is coming out, where you go in and everything is between 15 and 60% off. And then at midnight, you guys go out and watch the movie together. And it's just a really nice group of guys. They'll put comics aside for you if you want. Just a really nice group of people. They run a really nice business, and I highly recommend you go check them out online and in the store if you're in Staten Island. Comic Book Jones, Staten Island, New York, on Forest Avenue. That's my recommendation.
And I have a recommendation for you. And I mean, guys, I don't normally recommend food, but when I do, it's because it's really good food. And it's now a thing. I've never seen it on Staten Island, so I don't know if it's maybe not a thing on Staten Island, but I've seen it twice here in Rochester, and I've tasted it, and it's just so good. And it's buffalo chicken dip.
And what do you dip it in?
You can dip it in with you can dip chips with it. You can dip pizza in it. You can dip chicken wings with no other sauce on it. Right, but it's just so good. It's so tangy and so good, and it's just I really highly recommend it.
All right, cool. All right, awesome. But alrighty, cool. And I think we should name this episode the 10th episode spectacular, because we've been doing this now for 3 months, just about 3 months, and I gotta say I'm really happy we've been doing this, and I can't wait for 100 more episodes.
Okay, like I can dig it. I think we can name it that. Sure.
But Joe, I mean, we're gonna keep doing this as long as people keep listening, right?
God willing.
And interestingly enough, the episodes that have other people on it are getting more downloads.
Really? I don't know if that's insulting or.
Well, no, I just think people like to hear more voices other than just two people going back and forth. I think adding more, like having like 3 or 4 people on the show, it kind of just adds to it,
Yeah, and also fans, I would like to ask you a question. And I know that we haven't gotten any emails yet, but whether you email us right on our Facebook page or whatever. Right, I want you to get into contact with us, and I want to know your opinion. And me and John are not going to give our opinions on this until we hear your opinion. Okay, I want to know your opinion. Whose name is the first J on the podcast? Is it me or is it John's?
So should we make a case?
No, I think we should let the fans decide this.
Really? Because I think we should make a case. I think we should make a case for each other, because I have a case on why I am the first J.
And I have a case on why I'm the first J. But I think we should
ladies first.
No. I want to hear the fans first, right? And when the fans talk, then we'll present our case.
The fans have. How can we present our case after the verdict has already been read?
Well, that's the thing, right? Because we're not the ones who need to deliver the verdict. It's the fans that have to deliver the verdict, and we wouldn't want to taint their opinions.
We're not tainting their opinions. We will both voice our case.
Okay, that's fair. You want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
Ladies first.
All right, John, I'll go first. Number one, first and foremost, I'm the one who came up with the idea of having a joint J&J business. Way back when I said we should start a restaurant called Joe and John's. Okay, so the very origins of this podcast came from Joseph Asala. All right, you would not be standing here with a J&J podcast if it wasn't for me. John's very mad right now. I can see him. Now, granted, John's the one who came up with the idea for the podcast, but the idea of a joint venture between me and John happened 3 years ago, shortly before Hurricane Sandy when there was a restaurant on the beach, South Beach, called Joe and John's. And I saw it and I brought it to John's attention. Are you going to deny that, John?
I am the one that saw the restaurant. I'll tell you that much.
No, because you can ask my dad. Because me and my dad were driving, and I was like, "Oh, it's Joe and John's restaurant." And then I told you about it, and you looked it up.
I feel like I am the one because I drive down there all the time when I'm going to my grandparents' house in Brooklyn. So I feel like I saw the restaurant first.
Oh no, John! I told you, and you were like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah, look it up." And you looked it up, and you found the menu.
All right, I'll let you have this one, but so
okay, so that's number one. That's number 1 point to my case. Number 2 point to my case is that yes, John may pay for the podcast, but I take an hour out of my week while having 7 classes, 20 credits, 2 volunteer positions, and mandatory volunteer work, plus homework assignments, just to spend an hour with you guys, the fans. Okay, that's number 2. And number 3, most importantly, okay, both of the guest stars that we've had so far have been my idea. I invited Chad Carmen and James Astuto, plus I'm the only co-host here who has yet to miss a week, Mr. John Madigan, because I was sick. So obviously, fans, someone here cares about you more than the other. And that's why my name should be the first J in the title. You're first, John. You're second, John. Go for it. What's your case?
Okay, first of all, I missed an episode because I was sick. Okay, I could barely talk. Okay, I was sick. Okay, as Joe said earlier in this podcast, that in the 8 years of friendship, this might be the only time he's seen me sick. Other than one other time. Okay? People get sick. It happens. Second of all, I came up with the idea to do a podcast. Third of all, I pay for the podcast. And, Joe saying he takes an hour out of his day to do the podcast. I also take an hour out of my day to do the podcast as well. Okay, and I may not have 7 classes like Joe has, but I do have 4 classes and a job. I have a job too. So
now wait a second. Wait. Let's define job here. Okay, who do you work for?
I work for my uncle for his real estate development company.
Okay, and what do you do? How many calls have I gotten? I want to ask the fans what they think. How many calls do you think I've gotten from John? Joe, I'm so bored in this office. There's nobody here, nothing to do. John, half the time I think you get paid just to sit on your butt and call me and tell me how bored you are.
Okay, it is true that when I am alone in the office, because we don't have a lot of employees in my office. So there are days where everybody else is out on meetings and I'm the one manning the fort. So during those days, there are some days where I'm by myself and I'm bored and I have nothing to do. But there are plenty of other days where I am not the only person in the office and that I have a lot of work to do and I stay extra late. And so, trust me, I do my fair share of work. Plus I have college on top of that. Unlike somebody else who doesn't work for the past 20 years. Past 20 summers, he just sat on his ass all day.
Hey, now I want to just point something out, okay? Which one of us has a Christian counseling certificate license? Oh, yeah, me.
Which one of us is already a pastor? Me.
BS, John. You bought your pastoring license illegally online.
Not illegally. No, not illegally. I went online, I Googled become a pastor. I clicked on the very first link, typed in my name and my email, and I am now a pastor legally.
That does not make you a pastor.
I can order my credentials.
Uh-huh.
I'm already a pastor. So at the end of the day, the podcast was my idea. I'm the one that set this all up. I'm the one that went out and bought a microphone just for the podcast. I'm the one that pays to the podcast every month so you guys can listen to it. So I believe I am the first J of the podcast.
And with all of that being said, John, you wouldn't be anything without me, and that's why I should be the first J.
But you wouldn't have a podcast without me.
Really? Because me and James kicked butt, and both of our names begin with J. Okay, so
Yeah,
I don't
but you
even
can't.
know,
Yeah, but you can't afford $15 a month.
You don't know that. Maybe I'm just letting you pay for it because I can let you pay for it.
Then I expect $750 of it a month.
And you can keep expecting.
Anyway, guys, I think that's it for today's podcast. Keep up with us next week. I'm hoping we'll have a very special guest, a very nice friend of mine, to be on the show with us next week.
I hope not.
That Joe's very excited about.
Not really.
It's going to be an interesting time. But thank you guys so much for listening and loving. Thank you so much. What happened?
Interesting isn't the word I would use.
Thank you guys so much for listening to our 10th episode spectacular. As long as you keep listening, we'll keep doing this. Peace out, Cub Scout.
Peace out, Cub Scout.